Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Before we jump into this very long-awaited video, I do apologize for the delay. I want to tell you guys how many flippin' takes I have done of this video. I shit you not, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably my 20th or 25th take of this goddamn mother video. And I don't know what is wrong. Maybe I am intimidated by the alpha predator. I don't know why I would be. It's a cool predator, but it's just a fucking pre-order. So I don't know what's going on. However, I am prepared. I know my shit. I got my predator t-shirt. I got rid of the stupid fucking hat. And I got the predator beanie. So I'm ready to rock and roll. Alright, my thoughts on video for Alpha Predator. Hope you f***ing enjoy. So before we jump into the product photos and the pre-order information, let's go back to Toy Fair 2019 when this figure was officially revealed to the community. Now back then it was about 14 inches in height. It didn't have too many points of articulation, and well, I mean, it was painted for the most part, and everybody actually thought that the figure was going to end up being quarter scale because of its size, but shortly after, NECA did reveal on their social media that it was going to be in the 7-inch scale. And I gotta tell you guys, ever since then I've gotten countless messages and comments about the scale of this figure. Is it going to be quarter scale? Is it going to be 7-inch? It's going to be 7-inch. So as much as I would like it to be quarter scale, this is what we're dealing with. And honestly, I think I prefer it in this scale. The majority of my collection is the 7-inch stuff. So that's that. You know, I'm pretty content with that. But if they do end up doing a quarter scale version of the Alpha Predator, I think I would hop on board with that. We haven't had a quarter scale Predator from them in quite a few years, and honestly I think this would be a good page turner for them. But anywho, this figure is going to be priced at $29.99. Typical pricing for an Ultimate figure by NECA, and it has a slated release date of June 2020. Now, one thing that kind of surprised everyone, or at least what what surprised me, is this whole 100th edition figure. I did not expect, or rather, that's a poor choice of words, I didn't realize that I had over 100 Predator figures by NECA. Now, I've been collecting since 2010, roughly 10 years, right? And I don't really usually back up and take a look at the collection and think about how many Predators or how many aliens I have. It's just not how my mind operates. And so, up until now, I didn't realize I collected over 100 Predators. And God knows how many aliens I have, because I've been collecting aliens just as long. So, this being the 100th edition figure makes them a bit special. Now, obviously, this figure is based off the original design of the Predator creature before Stan Winston really dug deep and created what is the Jungle Hunter now. And of course, back then, the Predator wasn't going to be played by Kevin Peter Hall. He was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, who, well, after seeing the costume and realizing that he can't really jump from tree to tree like an athletic monkey, he decided to move on, and of course they went with the traditional Jungle Hunter design, which I prefer. Now, NECA did go out and say that they wanted to make a figure solely based off of that design, the mantis-like creature, but they said it wouldn't sell that much. Only a handful of people would go out and buy a figure like that, which I understand. Only a couple people who are really invested or are invested fans of the franchise, of the lore, would know that. So they kind of took the best of both worlds. They took what the fans really wanted, which is that original creature, and what's their main selling point, which is the Predator design, the typical Predator design, and they put them together, and here we go. Alpha Predator. And this figure looks pretty goddamn impressive. Obviously, it's sporting that design, the whole tribal design, and it looks beautiful, honestly. one thing that really stood out to me was the mask, right? It's pretty much a replica of what the creature was going to look like, right? It had big yellow eyes, it had horns on the sides of its head that kind of pointed towards its nose, and it just looked like a giant mantis, essentially. And so that's where the most nostalgia, I guess you can call it, comes from or goes to. It's the helmet. So I think that is brilliant. I'm glad they included it, and it looks so flippin' cool. Obviously, you get the unmasked option, and the Predator looks pretty good. He's kind of like an albino Predator, almost, right? Very pale white skin. The dreadlocks are white as well, with like brownish reddish beads. And I can't tell if he's holding or has any earrings or anything on the mandibles. I don't believe so. But what I like about the dreadlocks is the beads are a little bit different. They're more so like wraps. So we have clumps of dreadlocks on the sides of his face that are wrapped together. And I think that's unique. I don't think we've really had too many Predators like that. Maybe at the back of the head, the dreads were kind of wrapped together, but it's definitely more present on this figure, I think. And the mold in general is really, really good. And for people who are really, really paying attention to what NECA is doing, obviously they're preparing for the Super Predators with this body mold. If you compare it to Berserker's body, to Tracker's, or to Falconer's, obviously there's a lot of similarities. So hopefully at Toy Fair we're going to get a look at the Super Predators, because this is pretty much the same exact mold. But the armor is really what makes this guy shine, right? If you take a look at, man, just the wrapping and the fur that they used for, I guess you can call it a skirt, it is just so good looking. They put a lot of effort into this guy. I really dig the tribal design. Everything looks handcrafted by the Predators. You have all these horns and spikes all over the armor. It just looks so cool. They even put bones as armor on the forearms. I mean, on his left arm, you have some kind of alien skull or an alien jaw, and on the right one, it's more so, I guess, a jaw with just giant horns to replicate wrist blades. It's ridiculous how much detail they put into this figure. Arguably, they put more detail into this figure more than any other Predator they've done in recent years, right? It's just, and I want to say this is probably our most armored Predator. There might be a couple out there who have him in the running, but he's a pretty armored figure. And obviously you have the staff, which again looks very handcrafted. You have all this wrapping and bones stitched and wrapped together. And the detail they put on those bones is just crazy. The shading and the sculpting, it's really crisp, you know? So it's very impressive looking. And again, the thing that really stands out to me is the skirt area, because it's essentially fur, right? Something you would see in tribes and stuff way back when. It's like kind of like caveman style, right? So it makes you wonder what aliens or creatures he had to hunt on whatever planet to make all this. So the figure itself, I mean, it could hold a lot of lore behind it. Obviously, it's not really connected to anything from the comics, but honestly, if there was a comic book based off this figure alone, I would read it, because it looks like an interesting character, if anything, right? He looks like he's definitely on the older side. You can tell by the face. He has a lot of experience based off the armor and the weapons he crafted. I mean, look at his goddamn shuriken. It's made out of bones. That should pretty much sum up the character in general. It's ridiculous. And here we kind of have a better look at the face. Again, a lot of detail went into this. On the sides of the mandibles, on his cheeks, you can argue, you have this tint of pink, and kind of surrounding the head, but at the point where the dreadlocks come out, you have like a tint of purple. It's really well done. And for people who know Top Knot Predator from AVP War, he actually has something similar with the dreadlocks on the top of his head. He has the top knot style. So And that makes me wonder, could they use this mold for a top knot predator, at least the dreadlocks? That could be cool, because we're really missing a top knot. We really need a top knot predator, that's for sure. And I really like how you can actually store the weapons on his back. Here you can store the shuriken and the spear and everything. Looks pretty cool. And I really do like how the, at least in this picture, on the left hand, the wrist blade has this giant, like, mammoth tusk or tooth or something, but it's actually like a chrome black almost. And I thought that was kind of a cool touch. There's so much I can say about this figure, folks. There really is. They put a lot of love into it. I mean, every inch of this was really thought out. And oh man, I mean, look at the end of the spear. You have a spine wrapped around it, and the edge of it kind of looks like an alien tail, almost like the tip of an alien tail. So they put a little bit of a nod to xenomorphs in there as well. That, I just noticed that. That's really crazy looking. So, oof. And man, I mean, you got the double jointed elbows, you got the double jointed knees, you have the ab crunch, you got the whole 9 yards with this figure. This literally is the ultimate predator that you can have, right? And I'm trying to look for complaints that I have or anything. I'm not trying to suck NECA's wiener super hard right now. That sounded really fucking weird, Jimmy. But there really isn't anything to complain about. It's a perfect figure, and I fully understand why this is the most anticipated NECA product of 2020 and why it was the most talked about figure of last year in terms of NECA stuff, or, you know, in the Alien Predator community. I've seen more posts about this figure more than anything else. I gotta tell you, he has set the record. So, NECA, good job. I don't have the figure in hand, and I said the same thing with the Rhino Alien. This figure will probably be in my top 10. I mean, we've known NECA for a while. We know what they're capable of. I know the figure is going to have bad QC, but I also know the amount of detail that's going to be put in. So, good job. And again, I don't even have the figure yet. I will have it in June. And I'm telling you, I want to get 2 of them. One unmasked, one without. And we don't yet have a look at the box yet. That also has me curious. I wonder if they're going to put more nods to the original Predator design on the box. That would be pretty gosh darn cool. But, whew, are you going to be picking this up? You better be picking this up. Any Predator fan is going to be picking this figure up. I gotta tell you, it's that impressive looking. And man, I really like this photo specifically. The way he's looking up at the sky and roaring. That's a really cool thing to do. And this guy's going to be really, really catchy if you're talking toy photography. Any angle you put this guy in, he's going to look good. And I can see some re-releases coming for this guy. I'm telling you, this is the most talked about figure. Once they run out of their first shipment, there's no question they're going to put out another one. That's how popular this figure is. So, I think that is all I have to say about the Alpha Predator. He really is the Alpha Predator. I'm not f***ing you, this figure is the I'm cussing a lot in this video, but that should tell you how special this particular piece is. And once again, June 2020 with $30 price point. And similar again to what I said about the Rhino Alien, if you would charge more for this figure, I would buy it. Please don't. We don't need it to be any higher in price, but he's worth a lot more than what we're paying for. That's all I'm saying with this one. I also think it's kind of appropriate to take a moment and just appreciate the sculptors and the designers who work at the NECA company, because even though technically this figure is based off the original design, really only the helmet is, and part of the arms. Everything else is NECA's liberties, right? They took their own liberties in making this figure, more so than any other, right? And yeah, in the past they added a couple armor pieces that weren't in a movie, or they created the biomask for the Lost Predator, their creation. And of course you have the Viper Predator, but this really shows what talent they have in the company. They can really create something unique. And if they do plan on doing more Predator films or TV shows or whatever the hell Disney's planning, you should really look at people like this who can create something brand new, right? Put something new to the table. Assassin Predator was awesome, okay? Fugitive Predator was awesome. But hell, I would love to see a Predator film with this guy in it. That's how unique and how special this figure is. And I'm really sucking their wiener in this video, but it's true. And you all know it. So that is all I have to say about the Alpha Predator. I wanted to thank everybody for their patience. This was a really long-awaited video, and it should have been out weeks and weeks ago when the pre-order initially went live. But you know how it is. It's catch-up season, and I'm almost done catching up. And I have a pile of toys behind me that I really need to do a live stream of and get to reviews of. So expect a lot of that and a lot of catching up, okay? Because we're still catching up. I still got a bunch of reviews to catch up on, not only of the Leonard Toys stuff, but of those NYCC 2-packs that y'all forgot about that, but I never reviewed that. So I'll be getting to that soon. And once more, let me know if you're going to be pre-ordering this guy, if you already did, or if you're going to wait to pick him up at a retail store. And you know, like usual, I'm probably going to wait on pre-ordering. I'm going to take my chances and see if I can pick him up at my local Target or even Walmart if they're going to start selling this stuff. And we got a couple local conventions near me coming up pretty soon, right around the time of his release, so who knows, I might even be able to pick some up there. Kind of like what I did with the Golden Angel Predator. Alrighty folks, go check out Trophy Room on Facebook, a Facebook group created by me, made for alien collectors like you and probably like me too. Feel free to post about anything Alien Predator related, whether it's the comics, the lore, the toys, the collectibles, whatever. The only rule is don't be a dick. We don't like dicks over there. And as always, people, have a good morning, evening, midday, whatever, and take care.